Okay, so we're talking about playing. We've got a few things to talk about lined up here. First off, we'll mention a couple things. So I do lessons online and also have this member area here too. So definitely check that out. And then you do cables.
And I make cables and fix electronics and guitars and basses and
Yeah,
all kinds of fun stuff.
nice.
Yeah.
So leave a comment down below if you're interested in getting in touch with John or me, and we'll point you in the right direction.
Absolutely. Let us know what you need.
Yeah. So you brought in a preamp that you built yourself. Is that right?
Well, kind of half built, half assembled
Okay.
in this case,
Yeah.
because I did not build the circuits.
Right.
I just put them together the way I wanted them to work.
Nice. Nice. And one of the things we thought we'd talk about a little bit is the piezo pickup system.
Right.
And so I've got a bass that has the blended magnetic option. You can go 100% either way.
Right.
And you do as well, right?
Yeah.
That's how this instrument works.
This is, I've got it set up with 2 channels out.
Okay.
Because there are no controls on the front, like on your NS, it's all built in.
Yeah.
And Ned really has that piezo thing worked out.
Yeah.
It sounds so good on there.
Yeah.
I like this one. This one's a bit more organic,
Okay.
maybe.
Yeah.
So I built this silly little box here, you can see, that has a Knoll blender in here, it's magnetic and piezo at this end, and then a Delano Sonar 2 2-band preamp
Okay.
in here. 3D printed the box.
Nice.
That's it. But because I wanted something that would work with this, work with my upright.
Okay.
So that's, that's magnetic. This is full piezo. It's low. This is actually an aged pickup, and I found that the plastic around piezo film
Okay.
over time, and I mean this is from 1982.
Yeah.
As the plastic ages, it shrinks, and it basically applies this sort of constant tension to the piezo film and deadens it.
Okay.
That's why off camera I was telling Jim, I'm going to make a new bridge in a different style, same piezo thing, to get a better output. But when I combine the two on this, that's full magnetic, and that's half and a half.
Okay.
It just puts a little body around it.
Yeah. So with the piezo, is that the advantage? More body, more depth, more
in theory,
acoustic?
more acoustic. The idea was to have a non-magnetic, it's not a coil wound around magnets.
Right.
That's always going to have a certain voice, no matter who winds them.
Right.
I use Delanos a lot. Very, very neutral for this, like this pickup, but it still has a voice.
Yeah.
So the idea is to capture as much of the instrument's voice
Yeah.
without editing it. It's gonna edit. It's electronics.
It's electronics.
That's what it does.
Yep.
There's different ways to go about it. I'm going to do a different way other than the sandwiched film thing
Yeah.
that Mr. Leduc did here.
Okay. Yeah.
So in a different episode, I'll bring this back when I've got the new bridge cut for it.
Great. So acoustic instruments, that's where I've come across them a little bit. So I've got a couple of the Godin guitars. I've done a few videos on the channel with those, done some recordings. So you get a nice, kind of acoustic sound to
Kind
it.
of a woody sound. It's,
Yeah.
a bit more organic.
Yep. And that's one of the issues with guitar, really, and bass, is that there was a period of time when we didn't have them hooked up to electronics. We just didn't have that available.
Right.
And there are all these different efforts to get the guitar louder or to get the bass louder.
Yeah.
And so the technology, of the electric bass and the electric guitar really allows you to well, in the case of bass, just have a smaller instrument to carry for one thing.
Yeah. I mean, you and I both play upright. And
Yep.
we love upright. We hate moving upright.
Yeah. Yep.
You know, upright players, it forces you to reconsider your automobile choices.
Oh yeah.
You know, it's your life revolves around moving what is effectively a piece of furniture.
Right.
This is way easier.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Yep.
but, you know, again, the uprights, I think yours and mine both use piezo pickups.
Yep.
And there's all these different flavors. I use a full circle. I don't know who you're.
I don't remember what I
Yeah.
placed on that actually. It
know,
was so
like
long ago.
a Fishman full circle or something like
Yeah,
that.
it might be. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's different ways to go about it. But yeah, it's all to do the same thing, which is capture the sound of the instrument.
Yep. Yep. Because really, I mean, an acoustic instrument has a certain richness just in a room.
Right.
But when you want to go on stage and deliver a performance, it's just too quiet acoustically. So
Yeah, that's
so
why
you need to
You
scale that sound somehow.
you got to get bigger, and that's why I think we've talked about this in the past. Earlier jazz recordings, even into the '70s, even now, and this irritates me. My soapbox here. Because the bass was so quiet for a bass solo, the whole band basically dropped out.
Yeah.
And it's so annoying. But it was for the bass to be heard. So the bass
Yeah.
ended up basically doing this whole solo thing, literally solo. You might have the drummer doing a little tick, 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 and the
Yeah.
guitar player maybe hitting the occasional chord.
Yeah.
Now we don't have to do that.
Yep.
You know, Niels Henning Orsted Pedersen was famous for being like, you know, we're behind you on the tune, we're holding you up, everything's moving, it's grooving. We get to the bass solo and everybody just stops and it goes tick, tick, tick. He's like, what did we do to you?
Yeah. Yeah.
So piezo is very useful. There is something real quick to talk about that we see a lot of acoustic musicians on tour using. It's called a tone dexter.
Okay.
So you have your pickup on your instrument, but you go into a studio and you can have your pickup and microphones, and you record the instrument into this box,
Okay.
and it records, it processes the sound of your instrument,
Okay.
not the notes, just how it sounds in the studio.
Got it.
So then when you plug into it live, you get that sound.
That's interesting. I didn't know about that. So it's almost like an impulse response, but for acoustic.
But for acoustic,
rather
that's
than a cabinet.
Right. Yeah,
Okay.
that's exactly what I've seen. Like Mark O'Connor and I think Jerry Douglas and all these. You go see like bluegrass acts. Sometimes you'll see just a whole rack of these things on shelves.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
So you're not fighting it.
Yeah. Yeah, because even on electric guitar, or not electric guitar, but acoustic guitar, you might put an electric magnetic pickup in there just to deliver some sound. I've seen some acoustic bands, which actually I really like this, have a large, maybe a large diaphragm condenser or something just sitting right there, and then they walk up to it and away from it as they're soloing, and they're basically mixing themselves live.
Yeah. You see that again a lot with bluegrass,
Yeah.
where there might only be 2 or 3 mics on stage. Yeah, and these guys, they're moving in and out, and great mic control.
Yeah.
It's really amazing. It's like watching a great singer use a mic. They really understand.
Yeah.
You know, it's as I get closer, this sound is going to happen.
Yeah. I thought that was very cool when,
It
when
is.
I saw that. It's
Yeah.
pretty neat.
Yeah, I mean, big diaphragm condensers are the way to go.
Yeah.
If you can't, or a pair of small diaphragm condensers, like the Earthworks or something.
Yeah.
You'll see them, aiming one here and one here
Yeah.
on a guitar. And,
Balancing that sound out.
yeah.
Cool.
So, yeah.
Okay, so we got a few questions that I'd like to get to, and before we get to those, let's just mention that we really encourage your comments and questions because it helps kind of fuel the direction of our talks and all that. So let's see, we'll get to
We got a few here. Yeah, please let us know what you're thinking about. And if you hear us talk about something, you want to know more about it, or you think we're full of hot air, entirely possible on my part.
Might as well.
let us know. You know, we're happy to cover whatever you want to know about.
Yeah, and we could learn something.
Absolutely, every time.
Yeah, I mean, someone knows something, and just stick it in there, and like, okay, yeah, awesome. We have a question. Says, what is your musical training? And thanks on the compliment for the video. Pretty cool. So I thought maybe we both talk a little bit about our training and all that. I was actually just talking to a student about this. My perspective is that every individual is really kind of needs to be their own teacher in a sense. At least that's how I feel about it. And then we have teachers, of course, that guide us in a direction and help prevent us from going in directions that are not fruitful or that are just not good. So So one thing that I really work at teaching is getting everybody at a technical level that makes their playing sound clean, delivers good tone, and good time feel, rhythmic integrity, if you will, and all of that. But I'll say I probably feel that I learned the most from private teachers. Over the years, but I did go to college and I got the degrees.
You got the requisite pieces of paper.
Yeah, I got the pieces of paper. But I always kind of felt like, I'm really interested in this one thing, and I'm learning about kind of this other thing, and I wish I was on my instrument, exploring some sort of weird pentatonic scale or something. But I'm reading about Beethoven, which is good, of course.
Yeah. I mean, there's that sort of foundational knowledge that helps, in music history and all that. So you kind of understand that sometimes it can get to be a bit much, and it's easy to look at that and go, this does not apply.
Right.
Especially when you're in your third year of music history and you want to scream. But at least you need a knowledge of how your instrument came to be.
Yeah.
And how you came to have your instrument. And
Yeah.
that comes from all these, everything in front of you, everything that came before you.
Yeah.
You need to know why Mozart wrote that way.
Yeah. And these trailblazers who really affect why you're learning what you're learning and how music works as a phenomenon and how certain theoretical things have come to be, tonal music,
all that stuff. I had a very, very, very brief college career, really short, and the class first thing every morning was Bach and Mozart. For an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Every morning. 7:30. I hated every second of it, but I loved the information.
Yeah.
It was fascinating.
Yeah.
But I agree that I had one private teacher starting in elementary school all the way through high school. Started with one guy who played with the National Symphony.
Nice.
And could play anything with strings. Killer guitarist, mandolinist, pedal steel player, harmonica player, ridiculous musician.
Yeah.
I learned so much from him, and I made him nuts. And Chip, I'm sorry, because I hated to practice because I could just sight read everything.
Nice. That's awesome.
But I learned how to be a musician.
Yeah.
Aside from all the style things and note choices and the sort of things that we went over, it was really about, here's how you do this. Where do a gig?
Yeah.
When should you get there? What should you have in your bag?
Yeah.
How do you behave?
Yeah.
What's the etiquette? These are the things that are the difference between working in a bar gig or playing at the Kennedy Center or
Yeah.
Avery Fisher Hall, or you know,
Yeah.
there's things you need to know, and if you don't know them,
Yeah.
you'll be really uncomfortable. So I thank him for that.
Nice. Yeah.
And I got lucky. I had 2 great elementary school music teachers
Okay.
who I'm still friends with,
Wow.
which is really cool.
That's cool.
Yeah, they're these 2 wonderful women who basically turned us loose and said, make sound.
Yeah.
I don't think that's what they meant to do, but that's what happened.
That's what happened. So for a young player, or maybe just a beginning adult player, some of the things I would recommend, private teacher,
Yeah.
and maybe ensembles, trying to do some ensemble work if you can.
Yeah.
Either through a school, or if you can get involved with some people who aspire to go out and may play
Yeah.
somewhere.
Yeah. You will get better faster playing with other people.
Yeah. Yeah.
And always play with somebody better than you.
Yeah.
Always.
Yep.
Because it's really getting your backside kicked,
Yeah.
but you get better exponentially faster.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. I mean, playing with some people, I play with a drummer who was with some of he was with the Stan Kenton Orchestra, and just learning things on the bandstand from him, afterwards, sometimes even kind of during, I'd watch, I think I've talked about this on the channel a little bit. I'd watch like his left foot on the hi-hat, and I would just kind of check that out visually in the corner of my eye on some of those gigs, and getting a sense for how he was like always subdividing.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, I know this guy's got a great time feel. I want that.
Yeah.
What's he doing to achieve that?
Yeah. Why does this swing so easily?
Yeah. And so, just gotta like kind of, take some of those things. And,
Yeah. It's, I was in my 30s, 20s, late 20s, early 30s. I was playing in a big band around DC, and one of the drummers we had for a while had retired from the Army Blues. Before that, he had been the drummer for the Basie Band.
Okay.
One of the best things in my life ever was spending a couple of years playing with this guy,
Nice.
because I thought I knew how to swing. No. And this guy could just feed it to a band. It was gorgeous. It was so much fun.
Yeah.
And if I didn't lock in, it was painfully obvious.
Yeah.
So, so you find people like that. Find that somebody who's got a ton of experience.
Yeah.
They're out there. They want to play. They want to help.
Yeah.
These guys want to do this stuff.
Yeah.
And if you come and ask reasonably intelligent questions, usually they'll stop and help you out and answer your question.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. And so private teachers, I think I was just talking to you before this video about a lesson I took. I took one lesson from a guitarist in New York named Joe Cohn. And that one lesson just impact, he's like, do this, do this, do this. And I just did those things. And it was just incredibly fruitful. So, but, aside from what to learn and like what to work on, a private teacher or an ensembles, people who listen to you, watch you, tell you that you're doing this great, that you're doing this not so great, you're doing, all that human interaction.
Yeah, it's vital. If you're sitting alone in a vacuum,
Yeah.
you're only going to get this good.
Yeah. And YouTube,
Unless you're really strange, like Jacob Collier or something.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And YouTube is really great in some respects. Like if I noticed this kind of phenomenon, if I would teach a student like a melodic part, I would say, okay, you gotta like do this, maybe like write out a tab or something like that. You know, then they come back, you know, we'd probably have to flesh that out over many weeks. But then I started noticing when YouTube was hitting, that people would come back like the next week and they would like be kind of nailing it, you know, because they went on YouTube and they're like doing that, you know.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's very strong in some respects.
It is. It has kind of democratized learning, music learning a bit.
Yeah.
It has also spread a lot of garbage.
Yeah.
So you have to be thoughtful. You know, think about what you're taking musically, because it doesn't all apply to you.
Yeah.
You know, you need to find that lane that really works
Yeah.
for you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, one thing that I'm trying to set out, if I had a mission statement, you know, would be to like really try to relay good information. So I take time to research tunes and try to get good information out
Yeah.
there
See,
for
this
folks.
is what you want in a teacher.
Right.
This. Yeah,
I'll second that.
I teach, but I make it up as I go along. But yeah, this is the sort of thing you want in a teacher, wherever you are on the planet. Find somebody who's they're doing the work before they get to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a good teacher.
Yeah, yeah. So, so yeah, that's kind of the story on musical training. And then we're always kind of training. Like,
Always.
you know, I'm trying to learn new stuff. Learn new stuff on gigs.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, always. Yeah, working on technique, working on tone, working on harmonic stuff.
yeah.
It's a list.
Yeah, yeah, it really is. And another thing is to try to learn a lot of different skills simultaneously. It's not like, okay, I'm gonna master sight reading in this year, and then I'm gonna master rhythmic time feel, and I'm gonna check that off my list, and then I'm gonna
Yeah,
You know.
they are not mutually exclusive.
no.
They are directly related.
Yeah, yeah. So it's kind of like, yeah, spend some time addressing one specific thing, but then you've got to work on another little specific thing, and it's all going to interconnect.
Yeah, and if you work on sight reading notes and then working on sight reading just rhythms.
Yeah,
Yeah, those things work. Do one after the other
yeah,
in the same practice session.
yep,
Yeah, get it to make sense in your head.
yeah. And one is probably going to only absorb so much of one particular thing in one given day.
Yeah,
So you could just be beating the.
yeah. And I've actually argued with guys about this, but Jim knows. I tell students, I only want you to practice 20 minutes at a time. They get up and walk out of the house. Go outside for at least 5 minutes.
Yeah.
It resets your ears and resets your head.
Yep.
And I have adult students. I'm like, do me a favor, practice 20 minutes in the morning, maybe 20 minutes around lunchtime if you can, and then 20, 30 minutes in the evening.
Yeah.
Break it up, because that's about as far as our brain goes, Yeah. Before you start fading out.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, is that the cat? It's what my wife and I call the squirrel syndrome. Like, squirrel. It's just you just lose focus.
Yeah.
Nothing makes sense.
Yep.
Don't beat yourself up. Just
Yeah.
do that. Find that chunk of time that works well for you, because you and I have both done the 8 hours of practice in a day.
Yeah.
It's great when you're young in a formal program where you're terrified of failing, so you have to do that.
Yeah.
Looking back on it, it was not the brightest thing I ever did.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I think this was the person who I've heard this from, but I think Itzhak Perlman said, do not practice over 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Like that would be like a real upper ceiling. Like you're probably not accomplishing
Yeah.
anything past that. And then, if you have a a day job and all that, definitely 20 minutes, definitely.
20, 30
See
minutes.
if you can do it at another time. If you have 60 minutes in the course of a day, 20-minute sessions.
That's great.
Would be great.
And remember, practicing can also be sitting there having breakfast, looking over, chord forms.
Yeah.
Maybe reading a bit about theory. That's in the practice thing. This is all part of it.
Yeah, that's one thing I would really like for folks to do is open up what you think of practice. Because
Yeah.
you see that music stand, you see the guitar, and your mind says, I'm going to have to plug that in. Wow, that's going to be a lot of work. I'm going to have to flip that amp switch.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Do I have the energy and focus?
If you say it out loud, it seems ridiculous. But little tiny barriers, just say, well, I'm going to, but like one thing I tell folks is you have to accept the sound. Your ear has to accept the sound of what you're doing, and your fingers have to be able to do it without thinking.
Yeah.
You have to have muscle memory, and your ear has to hear it.
Right.
And so, sometimes if you're burned out, you had a tough day,
And you're forcing your way through.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, like, I play mostly fretless, and all of a sudden everything's a little flat, everything's a little sharp. It's really funny, and this just occurred to me. Sue and I my wife's a big Yankees fan, so we're watching a baseball game last night.
Yeah.
One of the announcers was talking about this batter. I said, the harder you try to hit, the slower you are. So,
Yeah.
and I had heard that before in other things.
Okay.
It's like if you're really tensed up and you're really trying to push through the ball,
Yeah.
your bat speed is lower.
Wow.
Listen, I don't even do sports. Listen to me.
Yeah.
But if you can relax and let all that practice you've done take over,
Yeah.
you're going to nail it.
Nice.
That's what this needs to be. That's where
Yeah.
you need to be here. So if you find yourself kind of like, I gotta put it down and walk away,
Yeah.
you're just going to get angry, and your guitar will end up as firewood.
Yeah. Yeah.
But also, like you were talking about, those little sort of micro barriers to practicing.
Yep.
Put your instrument out on a stand, ready to go.
Yep.
Don't store it away in the case every time. You got to be able to pick it up and play it.
Yeah. And nothing is too little,
Yeah.
picking it up and just being like, okay, I learned this chord the other day. I mean, I didn't, but I'm just saying if that were the case, it's like, well, listen to the sound, get the fingers on it.
Yeah.
You know.
Maybe move it around a little bit. But 5 minutes of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do that all the time. It's like, I'll get an idea for something I'm working on. I'll just go to grab a bass,
Yeah.
sit down and play it and go, well, that was rotten. And okay, but this works.
Yeah.
And I can put the instrument down
Yeah.
and I'm good.
Yeah.
So, yes, but as Jim said, what do you all think is practice?
Yeah.
What do you all do?
Yeah.
What's your practice routine? Let us know.
Absolutely. Leave a comment.
Yeah.
Down below.
We'd love to hear from you all about how you practice and what you practice and what you're trying to get out of practice.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So let's see what else we've got here in store. Let's see. Oh, we should mention Jimmy Buffett, who's
Yeah.
a musician.
Mm-hmm.
Wrote some really catchy and famous tunes.
Yeah.
Just passed away.
He was only 76.
Yeah.
Yeah. He had to cancel some tour dates and
Did he? Okay.
just said that there was something sort of important that had to be dealt with.
Okay.
And then it was announced that he was in hospice, and that was that,
Yeah.
which is too bad. I told Jim that I'd met him once. He was a lovely guy, absolutely lovely guy. Very friendly, took time for the fans. I mean, I was playing his place down on the South Carolina coast, and he came in and sat, and he had some friends with him, and he people are coming up and saying, can I have your autograph? This is pre-cell phone. Or they'd have their cameras with them.
Yeah.
And he'd be like, yeah, well, look, let's get a picture like this. Can you hold the camera? I mean, took the time.
That's
and
cool.
Whether or not you like the music, I thought about this morning. His music is responsible for paying the rent for an awful lot of musicians.
Mm-hmm. That's true. Yeah. Absolutely.
There's not a lot of guys who can say that, especially if you work on on the East Coast of the U.S. or in the Caribbean,
Yep.
you know all the Buffett tunes because you're going to get a request.
Yep. Yep. People love to hear them, and they just want to be on vacation or hanging out on the weekend, and they just want to escape.
They want to hear Margaritaville. They want to
Yeah.
hear, and yes, it's tedious sometimes. Gets people dancing.
Yeah.
They're happy. And I'm quite sure he probably paid for 6 months of rent over time.
Oh, yeah.
Just for me.
Yeah. Nice. And it's funny we were talking about practice and all that, because I've known some Jimmy Buffett fans, and I've heard that at his concerts or in interviews, he would talk about trying to get better.
Yeah.
So that perspective, I think, that folks have of seeing someone on stage who has, technically arrived
Right.
or is famous or whatever,
Right.
trying to get better at their craft.
Yeah.
It's not like an end of the road.
I've made it. I'm this far. If was it Charlie Parker? Somebody asked him if, what happened. You're so great. What happens? You've learned it all. You can play it all. And he goes, if I ever get to that point, I'm selling my horn. 'Cause you never get to the end.
Yeah.
This is an ongoing process because every time you play, you know what you can do better the next time, and what, is it tone? Is it timing? Is it feel? What is it?
Yeah. Exactly. So thank you, Jimmy Buffett, for all that you've done for musicians and for music fans. I was talking about rest, focus, and health. Well, that sort of ties in
It does.
to the practice, right?
I think
not
it's
over practicing.
It's all part of the same package, I think.
Yeah. And focused practice is incredibly important. So putting the phone away, putting the, maybe even YouTube away, and just working specifically on something. And then just also your time away from the instrument. Are you going straight back to YouTube and looking for the next secret formula to learn guitar in an hour?
Yeah, the big secret is there is no secret formula.
Right.
Yeah.
Give yourself some rest. Maybe meditation is kind of a good tool.
Sit and read.
Or read,
grab
for a walk.
Grab Wayne Shorter's biography or Herbie Hancock's autobiography. Those are two amazing books.
Yeah, and there's a new movie out, right?
Yeah,
I haven't watched that yet.
I know.
Have you seen that?
I want to see that. That's on my list.
Yeah.
Thelonious Monk's biography is fantastic. To really kind of get an understanding about him.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a book about John Bon Jovi. I'm sure there's all this, everybody. But you don't even have to read about music, but sitting and reading takes your brain away from everything else and gives you that time to reset.
Yeah, exactly. I know when I record, I would treat recording a little. When I first started recording, I would treat it a little bit like a live gig. Like,
oh yeah,
like I would just do it. But I found that it's actually really nice to do it and then walk away.
Yeah.
And then.
And unless you're a trained studio engineer with years of experience, never listen back immediately to what you recorded.
Yeah.
I find it very counterproductive.
Yeah.
Because all you're going to do is go, oh, that's miserable. Because I'll record something and then listen the next morning.
Yeah, that's a good
after
idea.
I've had coffee, and then I can go, okay, that was good. That was good. What was I thinking? That was good. That was good. It is more productive. That whole focus, doing that. The other trick, and I think I'm sure I mentioned it before. Somebody did a study about practice time.
Okay. Yeah.
And they said, if you make a mistake, stop and fix it immediately.
Yeah.
Don't play to the end and then go back.
Yeah.
And somebody sat down and did the math, did a study, looked at all these piano players.
Yeah.
The improvement was just unbelievably higher for those that stopped and fixed it immediately.
Nice.
I mean, it was like an 80%
Wow.
better
Very, very.
instead of trying to wait to the end
Yeah.
and then going, because you will never fix it.
Yeah.
So it's okay to, if you're going, no, that's not right. Stop right there
Get it fixed. Yeah.
and just fix it right then. And
Because you really have to kind of train the hand to do it.
yeah,
Right. You have to, the hand has to know immediately where exactly it's going.
right.
And I think the speed, like people sometimes will want, a certain level of speed, but I would say practice it slowly and be absolutely sure of the note and have your hand absolutely confident in where it's going, and you'll have speed.
Yeah. Slower is harder.
Yeah.
I know that with some students who've had trouble with the whole speed thing, and so what I'll do is I'll have them play, at a tempo that's comfortable for them.
Yeah.
I don't care what it is; it's just comfortable for them, and then we're going to slow it down. And they go, and then we can.
Yeah.
Take it wherever you're comfortable, and then just keep, dropping the time by 25% or 50%.
Yeah.
It puts a neat relationship in your head for some reason, I think. That's what it feels like to me.
Yeah.
Is that you get an understanding. It's like, oh, I'm aiming for that, but
Yeah.
slow lets you perfect it.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And maybe repeating the note in the mind's ear and, going through the process. I will often, especially for classical, if I'm working on classical guitar or even intricate melodic lines in jazz, it's just phrase.
Yep.
I do not go through the whole thing. I was like, phrase, work out this phrase, like work out what phrasing you like too,
Yeah.
But if I'm new to a tune, of course I might listen to the whole thing. I might just sight read and play through the whole thing, or if I'm not reading it, I might just if I'm not reading, I'm just definitely transcribing phrases. Like I don't just transcribe the whole thing in one. So I'm like I want this phrase, and then I hear silence. That's enough to digest. So I'll transcribe that phrase, and then that's just that.
That's it. Yeah. There's a lot of ways to get through practice, but don't beat yourself up. Don't exhaust yourself mentally or physically.
Yep.
And I think the big thing is, if it starts to hurt, stop.
Oh yeah.
Because we see this like in upright students where they're, the reach is so big, and they're just and to the point where their hand is cramping. That's bad.
Yeah.
I don't care what any teacher said in the 1800s. That pain does not make you better.
Yeah.
So if your hand starts to hurt in here, this is real common, just right in there. If strangely, the left shoulder doesn't usually hurt if you're a right-handed player. It's the dominant hand's shoulder will start to hurt, and that tells me that this is happening. This is tensing up. You're not relaxed. You're going, or you start feeling it here. That means this is getting tense. That means this is tense.
Yeah.
So you feel those things. Stop. Get up. Stretch.
Yeah.
Have a cup of coffee, a glass of juice.
Yeah.
Walk around. Walk outside. Reset.
Yep. And make sure you're aware of those things.
Yeah.
As you're practicing.
Yeah. Body awareness is important. Because this is playing health. This is, if it hurts, you can't play.
Yeah.
So then you're annoyed you can't play, and you're annoyed because it hurts.
Yeah.
Don't do that to your friends and family. Stop. Just take care of it right away.
Yep. Absolutely. So let's see. Let's check out one more comment before we end up here. Instrumental, acoustic, guitar playing, rock, funk, please. So John suggested that I pick up an acoustic. So I'm not sure how this will record, but I'll pick up this this guy here. So one thing I would recommend to do is to think of this as a percussive instrument. And I am not really, this is not an avenue of guitar that I've really gone deeply into. So probably Google search or something on that, but start playing. Let's say you've got like a little groove. You've got a little something going. See if you can, maybe hit the guitar, 1, 2, 3, 4, or maybe create a looping machine. I think would be really great for this.
Yeah, I mean, there's great free looping software now. So if you have a setup it'll work with your phone.
Yeah.
If you have like an iPhone or if you have an iPad, there's some great stuff.
Yeah.
Record yourself doing a little loop.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yep. So one thing like on guitar or bass guitar, in funk, they do like more slapping, and that kind of gets into thumping, percussive sort of thing.
Yeah. I always think, James Brown said everybody's a drummer. Yeah.
Nice.
He reinforced that, even the horn players.
Yeah.
So if you listen to Vic Wooten, or some of these guys, or Wojciech Pilachowski, this Polish bass player.
Yeah.
Wow. Or Henrik Linder.
Okay.
Who I'm just a huge fan of from Dirty Loops. That's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
That shouldn't be allowed. But yeah, so it's funny for bass. There's the two things. There's the slapping thing, and then there's the more Motown style of funk.
Okay.
Which is sort of the James Jamerson school.
Okay.
Where you're instead of trying to
pops in.
Yeah, you do. It's a lot of grace notes and things.
Yeah, raking over the strings. And stuff.
Yeah, so you can. That just.
Yeah. And you could just feel little subdivisions and all that.
As a bass player, when I'm playing funk, I'm thinking 16ths. That's the clock in my head.
Yeah.
And it is never moving because that's where I got to be.
Yeah, exactly. So, timing, maybe hitting the guitar, call that golpe in classical. Where you kind of hit the strings. But there's I wish I could remember the name of this guitarist, but he's doing acoustic guitar. He's playing like Beethoven solo guitar, and he's hitting the guitar.
Mike Dawes.
It might be. Yeah.
Tall guy.
Yeah,
skinny
I think
guy.
he's pretty tall, skinny.
Yeah, it's probably sound like Mike Dawes. It just has his guitar outfitted with little piezo pads.
Yeah, and there are
up.
those things too. Yeah, I forgot about those.
Yeah,
so you can actually get drums that it's like a skin, right? That fits.
He's unbelievable.
Yeah. So watch and check out. That's the one thing that's really cool about these days video content. Whereas when I was a teenager, it was like, we had CDs, but we stuck the CD in and we listened to a phrase and we tried to figure it out. And you have no visual, where they're playing that. It was like, well, where does it work best? Or what does that string kind of sound like it might be? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard people make the argument that, that's better for you. You don't listen with your eyes.
Right.
No, but it helps you figure it out faster if I can look at it.
Yeah, it does help a lot faster, I think. Yeah,
you get a better because it's am I playing here or where
and sometimes it's like it's incredibly impossible in one area, and then you watch somebody, it's like, oh, that's why it's easy.
Yeah. It's like I said, watching Mike Dawes is just that's stupefying. It really is.
Yeah.
Because it is so good.
Yeah, so I would get into playing the guitar like a percussive instrument if that's what you're doing, like and solo guitar. I would recommend doing some classical training, even if you're not being a classical guitarist, and jazz, of course, because you want to improvise.
Yep.
If you have a piece of music and it's 16 bars, better be able to improvise if you want that to last for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got a lot of time to go through that. I mean, check out the flamenco players.
Yeah.
They're incredibly percussive. All this whole alternating kind of rolling,
fanning.
the fan strum.
Yeah.
Incredibly. Listen to Paco de Lucia and some of these guys, and
Yeah.
they're a whole orchestra by themselves.
Oh yeah.
But when you look at what they're doing, you're right. It's one of those things where it's like, okay, you're looking behind the curtain, you go, oh, he's just doing that and that and that. But that and that and that together is unbelievably cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So we want to mention again, if we haven't already, I think we did, but cables.
Yep.
Cables.
Yeah, my little company, Instrument Audio, I make custom cables. I do custom wiring on instruments. So if you're one of those people that says, I want 4 pickups and 15 switches and 2 knobs, hit me up.
Cool.
You can reach us through the channel here.
Yeah.
And I do. I like the strange projects.
Yeah.
I'm happy to do a basic setup, but I love. It does get fun.
Yeah. So people can mail you an instrument?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I actually have a Chapman stick player right now from, I think he's in Wisconsin, who is sending me just the pickup blocks.
Okay. See, I was going to ask you if you do like pre-wire kind of setups and stuff.
Yeah, I could. Like for the Chapman stick, he's at 2 different bases, 2 different sticks, 2 different tunings and functions.
Yeah.
One's for a 10-string, one's for a 8-string stick bass. So he just sends me the pickup blocks and says, "Can you make it do this?"
Yeah.
Okay.
It's easier for shipping.
Oh yeah, it's it's $10 to ship it instead of $75.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you still have your instrument.
Yeah, you're not worried about it getting damaged and all the rest of that. So
Yeah.
So anything like that, you have any questions about stuff like that, also let us know. Toss in a couple minutes of tech stuff at some point. Somebody has a specific question.
Yeah, absolutely. That'd be cool. I think it'd be pretty neat to do. I've been kind of brainstorming a little bit about content, and it would be kind of cool to talk more tech and stuff like that.
Well,
so,
we'll have to discuss that, because I will happily geek out all day about
on the tech.
I will go on and on and on. Because it's fun.
Great. So thanks so much again. And remember to like and subscribe and comment as well. So we'll see you all in the next one.
See y'all next time.